Hello everyone, welcome. Only a minute countdown today, and I lost, for some reason, I don't know where that overlay video had gone. Before we get in, just let us know, can we hear a few people in the chat already there? Can you hear us? Just to get me sorted first, I hope so. Then we're going to have some guests on. So let us know if you can hear us. Yes, I'm on orange juice tonight. So come on over, I've got a great show lined up. Some great guests. Can you hear me? First off, hello to Mark Francis. Thank you very much. Right then, loud and clear. Normally it's like a little bit ropey. So we've got Steve Greenside up again. Yes, the team is back, and we've also got Audrey Brenhan as well from the USA. So we're going to have a little chat and, across Atlantic there. See how things are done on that side of the pond. And we want your questions, because we've got no content if you don't put questions. I've got myself three questions to kind of kick off, and then that's it. I haven't got a question to ask you. So let us bring in Steve there first. Now, Steve, can you hear us there, sir?
I can indeed. Can you all hear me?
Thank you very much, everyone. There is Steve. He's got a brand new microphone as well, because he's getting worse than me for gadgets. He was like a bit disappointed with his sound yesterday as well. So, and let's just bring in Audrey as well from across the pond. Let me just work this. Audrey, hello.
Thank you
Hello. And we'll get me on there as well. So we've got the three the three stooges there. Yes, the quintessential gardening experts of the world. That's it.
Wow.
Right. So questions. Let's see who's in the chat first. We've got Mark Francis. Hello, Mark. Richard Hiscock. Hello, Richard. Grown Local. Got Ian there. Tamla Stewart. Tal, because Tal's does the Tal. I'm going to say Tal as a short. I've got Tal on my. Remember I said about my Be Real. So you kind of basically Tal. You must just see me watching the chase every night. That's when it kind of tells us I'm on. Right, Amelia. Hello, Amelia. Stephen Bramble. Stephen. Oh boy there. Hello, Stephen. Nice to see you there. Linda Robson. Mark Townsend. David Bruff. Stephen Brown. Tony's Kitchen Garden. Hello. And Mike Hatfield. Haberfield, yes. Ballyson. Allotment Man.
That's Lawrence.
So we're on what? Talav. Right. Right, that's Tal. Right, Tal. That's how we're going from now on. So there we go. Wait, can you see? Look at that colour of that. How bloody that doesn't look organic at all, doesn't it? Not, eh? That's dry. That's 3 months dry. That's what I'm on. For God's sake.
Oh.
Audrey was asking Steve. She says when we first come on. She says, "Tony, did you get a little bit nervous?" She says, "This is my first time." So, Audrey, I'm going to just hand it over to you for the full hour. See you later.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I hear an alarm going. I'm going to need to leave the room.
So, Audrey, if anyone doesn't know, is starting up a YouTube channel, and alas, it's still not there. So in the comments, tell Audrey, because the knowledge Audrey got is the same as Steve. It's just like Everest height. So we need Audrey to get on. And it was Audrey that was very kind enough to send. Now, as you can see there, I've only got a few packets left because I've been planting. Video coming on Thursday of like Audrey's seeds. Yes, I've gotten me tomato seeds in. So I'm really quite proud of myself, to be honest. So, Stephen, have you planted your tomato seeds yet?
No.
So, to be honest though, in all fairness, how long have you got before it's too late? Because there's a sweet spot, and I'm going off Charlie Dowden at the moment with the kind of the sweet spot of like middle of March. That's what, but it's open ended. When do you think though? Right, you're pushing it now. You're going to be too late.
I would say June, to be honest. You can get them going in May. And I'm doing a little test, a little trial for myself, because we always used to plant our tomato seeds on the 1st of May. Because back then, when I was a kid, we didn't really have greenhouses or propagators. So we just used to get them going when the weather was warm. And because it's warm at that time of year, when they come out of the soil, they just go crazy and they just shoot away, providing they've got plenty of feed in there. They just shoot away. So I'm doing another test. I've already sown my main tomatoes, but I'm going to sow some more at the start of May and just see how they do and how they compare.
Will you not, though? I know you're saying they'll romp away given all the nice circumstances, but there comes a time, because I noticed it over here, where light, they're just not, yes, you can take them in your house, you can do the old radiator, windowsill, get them right that way. But there must come a time when you've got oodles for chutney.
Well, yeah, you do, but also you can get a good autumn going into winter and you can still have tomatoes on the vine in December. I've never done it myself, but I know someone on our side, so this far north and west up here in Cumbria, he's had tomatoes ripening in December on the vine.
Right, bloody ripening in December. He's lying. Cumbria, man, it's the bloody heart of England, man. It's permafrost in June.
There's still dinosaurs here.
Audrey, what about you then? So tell everybody where you live first and what.
I live in a suburb of Detroit, so I'm in Michigan. We're considered the Midwest. I'm not quite sure why we're Midwest when we're really in the middle of the country, but so we're in like zone 6B, which really only tells us how low our temperatures are going to be.
You're quite big on your zones, aren't you? Because we don't bother with that. Well, it's there.
Well, I think you're all pretty much close in zone, aren't you? Just based on
I think I'm in a different. I'm sure I'm honestly in a different zone from Steve, just because of the coastal. Okay. But it's not really a big thing. I don't know. Steve, have you got? Do you bother with the zones around yours?
No, I just bother with if the seeds grow for me. To be honest with you, I tend to take no notice of that. To be honest, I just if I can make things grow, I can make things grow. They don't.
Well, and I think zones here are more about perennials. Will something winter over in your area? So it's about how cold your temperature gets. It really doesn't rule much of anything else.
What about
my tomatoes are in?
I was going to say.
I've started my tomatoes last week.
Right. And this, I guess, and that's what you normally do, or you experimenting?
Mid-March is a good time for us because 6 to 8 weeks before it's warm enough for them to get out there, so they're perfect. But I have interior lights. I have the ability to put heat on things if I need to. So I don't have to wait for the natural life to go on here. I can start things in my home. Right. And that's what I do.
Well, we'll talk a lot. Honestly, get your questions out there about if you want tomatoes, anything like that. Put your questions down. I'll try and, if there's not too many, go back and I'll start at the very beginning. So hopefully I'll not miss any. Couple of little topics I want to kick off with as well. Now, Audrey might not have seen these programs, but I heard somewhere, and I don't know if it's true or not because I tried to look on iPlayer, but Gardener's World started. Now, I caught what I thought was like the first one of the first show. I'm not 100% sure. And I just want to have like a little chat with Steve as well as Audrey about Gardener's World, Steve. Now, some might say I'm a little bit bitter. You know what I mean? A little bit. But I'm honestly not. But when I watched it the other day, I was just like, it just seems as if it's missing a whole kind of population of folks that want to grow, veg, want to get in the gardens. I mean, at one point, I don't know if you've seen it, Steve, but at one point, you had Monty Don clipping like willow branches. Now, how many people, you know what I mean? I'm kind of thinking I've got like the size of the willows every 5 years to cut the willow branches down. And I just think it's content. The production value is out of this world. Do you know what I mean? It's just like whoever puts it together, whoever's the cameraman, whoever's the video editor and the colorist, because everything is just super green and super nice. But the content, And I loved, don't get us wrong, I loved they had two, folk where you had to send off, and they're still doing that. So they've realised that's quite a nice little thing. They've had to, I still enjoyed the folks' although it was wobbly camera, and we've all got wobbly cameras and stuff, but I just think the main content misses the bullseye by such a long way. Do you know what I mean? They had one little bit about overwintering, like mustards, and I thought that would be a great full topic, but just like it was more like a little segment to how to and then there was a guy. Granted, there was a guy. Did you see the guy in a house surrounded by fields and all these flowers? But it went on for ages. And I was thinking, get some content in there that a lot of people would appreciate. What do you think, Steve?
It's difficult because there are so many branches of gardening, and ours essentially is growing edibles is just one branch of it, and it's difficult for them to cover or cater, should I say, for all gardeners. I mean, later on in the season, there'll be whole programs devoted to taties and carrots and things, but they've just got to cater for everything and make it a show that people will watch, even if they're not a gardener.
See, I still think that they're stuck in the ways, and I think they're probably catering for, and I don't mean this kind of, but like this Middle England, what they think is their audience, and it probably is, but it's to get like new folks on, and I mean, I like the presenters, you know what I mean? I kind of, Monty Don and kind of his fork to fork was seminal in my kind of loving gardening. Do you know what I mean? Still not like the Titchmarsh, but I like all of them. Do you know what I mean? I like all the presenters. I just wish the content was more suited for your average gardener. Because I honestly think, well, maybe flowers is kind of is way more important than veg. I don't know, but I just think nowadays a healthy lifestyle is quite high up there.
It should be. I mean, it's one of those debates that's gone on for many years now. I've seen it on internet forums going back all the way back to almost when the internet started with news groups. People were debating it then. I think it is just a general all-round. Typically your weekend or Saturday afternoon gardener comes home and just throws a couple of bedding plants in the garden for the summer or makes a hanging basket up. They're catering for those things. If you want a decent gardening program, watch Beech Grove Garden. That's on Scottish TV.
I've heard of Beech Grove, never seen it, so I'm not a fan. But I've noticed in the comments there's a few folks saying Beech Grove as well. Audrey, I mean, I guess you haven't. I don't know if you've seen Gardener's World. I don't know if you've got anything to say on the subject or.
Well, I subscribe. Don't they have a magazine as well?
What was that?
Does Gardener's World also have a magazine?
Yes.
I get their magazine.
Right.
So I've seen that. And I think it's really hard to talk about specific things, like you said, because we all kind of live differently. We garden differently. So your point is they're talking too much about flowers?
Well, it just seems, I think to me, they're missing a broad part of the what an audience would be. You know what I mean? That as soon as I see it and I'm like looking at flowers, I'm kind of sitting back, and not just flowers, like shrubs and things. I'm losing a little bit of interest, and I'm sure there's folks there think Gardeners will, And he mentioned 30 seconds time to chit potatoes. Now he might have done that already. I don't know, but
so they're going broader than you'd like them to. Is kind of what you're saying.
I just think the content it's like I say, it's lovely produced, but
you want more veg gardening.
Yes, I do.
Yes. So is there any channel that does that?
I'm not. Well, we have another program, and I brought it up with Steve there. And Steve, tell us if I've got this one. Marcus Worthing's Tales from a Kitchen Garden. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's him, Marcus Worthing. Yeah, he's one of the top chefs in the country.
Well, unfortunately, I don't like that one either. Now, I'll tell you why. Because I think the BBC, right, I think they've seen Clarkson's farm. They thought that's a great idea, and they've done like a little spin on it, and they've got this top chef. Don't get us wrong, I like him, to be honest. He's a good chef. But his gardens, it seems like he's just walking up to a place. I've only seen one episode, and he's got other people like doing it and tinkering, and he doesn't seem to like get involved. This massive garden he's got, and I just think the BBC's throwing like a lot of money to try and cash in on the Clarkson's farm with a different spin. What's your take?
Well, I'm fairly similar to that point of view, because you may remember there was the guy from Emmerdale, I believe, Kelvin something or other. He's done a farm thing as well, and he was appalling at it. I mean, he wouldn't go near a sheep because sheep had stuff around its backside. But in comparison with the two programs, then the Marcus Waring program is far, far superior, and that's why I like it. There isn't much gardening content in it, but it's a pleasant program to watch. Well, we all know there's that guy there. I think he's Polish. He does all the work. That's fairly obvious.
I think, you hit the nail on the head there. It's like, I think I've seen a bit where with like chickens and there was a buzzard in the air, and it just had this little clip of like tweaking a little bit of fence, and I just thought it's all just like, can we just have that shot there? It's all done for like looks and style. Where I just, a little bit like, say, Clarkson's farm, he was cocky at the beginning, but then things were just going wrong constantly and he had no control of them. And you're seeing the real Clarkson. Yeah. You're not seeing the real garden here. It's just a manufactured, expensive bit of British throwing TV license. There, I've had it. I've said it. You get it out. Audrey, have you got any programs like that where they're like just frustrating or just overproduced?
We don't have a lot of gardening content on TV. So we do have a channel called Home and Garden TV, HD TV. And I think sometimes they do gardening, but I don't really watch it because I haven't been that impressed with it. So you guys are way ahead of the curve for gardening than we are.
Well, it's funny, we were having this talk last time when we were kind of doing our little test, and I thought it was fascinating that you just say you can't just go. Both myself and Steve said we could drive probably a mile, 2 mile and buy seed potatoes. No problem. They might not be perfect quality. In America, there's nothing like that.
Well, it depends where you live. I don't live near potato growing country. So no, I have to mail order everything.
That's just, we were kind of shocked, weren't we, Steve, when everything's mail order there. And like you say, but you can go over to, B&Q, and they might not be the nicest ones, but most garden centres are in your kind of 5 mile radius. You could pop there, and
there's some garden centers, but they won't sell produce like that. They won't have seed potatoes. Now, we're very close to Windsor here in Detroit. I mean, we're legitimately like 15 minutes from Windsor. I could probably go to Windsor and find seed potatoes, but I'd never get them over the border. So, but I bet Canada has many more than we do. So, so I just mail order them.
What about seeds as well then, Audrey? Just normal, like say, I'm like say tomato seeds is the best example. Have you got to go to somewhere like Baker Creek and mail order them as well?
Well, I'm a little bit of a seed snob, so yes, I do have to do that. I'm sure I could get them. You guys probably have pound shops, right? We have dollar stores.
Right.
You can get seeds of every kind, 4 for $1, but you sometimes get what you pay for, unless it's a really good seed company and they just sell them so more people can get them. But I'm a little bit of a snob, so I like to grow seeds. I know where they're grown. I know they're organic. I know that there's people that are putting time into developing strains that are better for certain areas. You
want to buy quality.
Yes, because I'm putting the time in to grow it.
Yeah.
So I want to be a good
comment.
I think you're right. You know what I mean? As well, like you say, you want the best seeds you can get. It's just, I find it quite fascinating that it's not there. You know what I mean? It's like it's not, and you would think the amount of land and space you have for gardens is,
but not around cities. Like once you get near a city, there's not a whole lot of, except in Detroit right now, there's a tremendous movement to gardening. because there's so much vacant land now because Detroit is not the metropolitan center it once was.
Well,
So
while
there's
we're
a
talking
lot
about
of
you, while we're talking about your side, Audrey, I'll put over because now Steve will not be able to see these photos because we haven't worked out how to kind of show them. Steve, I'll describe them. So this is Audrey sent a couple of pictures over. Now I thought this was basically corn-looking corn shoots. You know what I mean, like normal corn the farmer grows in the field. But
Right.
Audrey says now this is Audrey. Is this your ginger?
That's my ginger.
So
Very
and
good.
how,
I just buy-
tell us
I-
how you
I-
grow. Tell us how you grow ginger then, because I've never grown that, and I don't know what climate it
Oh,
needs.
yeah.
Or
It loves heat. I'm lucky that we can do it because we have a reasonably good sized growing season, and we go from winter. Spring is about 2 weeks, and then we go to summer, and it's just hot. But I buy my root ginger or my seed ginger at Whole Foods, and I just buy organic pieces of ginger. You put them in a 10 by 20 seed tray with dirt on them, water them, and they start poking their heads up. And you kind of crack them off when they have some roots on them and plant them in the ground.
and
So I
it's
don't know
similar
if that was
to in-
good enough
Similar to
description, but
using sweet potatoes then.
it is just like doing sweet potato slips. Only
Yeah.
you can't. I don't think you can do this in water like you can a sweet potato slip. But it's the same
Right.
thing. You crack it off with the roots and you plant it.
and what about harvesting? How do you harvest? You have to dry it,
Just
or do you
pull
have
'em
to
out.
store
No,
it?
you pull them out. You can use it fresh. It's very, very spicy. It's not like the
Oh,
dry
that's
ginger
cool.
you get at the grocery store. It's still wet, doesn't have that skin on it. I froze some and I dehydrated some. And it's the
Ah.
best ginger I've ever had. So
Right.
I've got a tray of it going right now under my lights, hoping I'll get another harvest this year.
And
Brilliant.
is it? Do you have to keep like re-sowing each year? Or can you take?
Oh, absolutely. Once you pull it out of the ground, and for us, we get winters like you don't.
Right.
I mean, our temperatures go very low, so the ginger would be dead, dead, dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I just pull it at the end of the season and preserve it somehow because I'm not going to use that much really good. It's so strong.
Right. But you couldn't actually leave a little bit of the root in the ground or in a pot and bring it in the house like we're trying with chilies.
I probably could,
Not
but I
worth
don't
it,
know that
though.
I don't know that I could be bothered with that. So
once the
I
season, once you've had your season kind of fill of
now
gardening.
you might be able to overwinter it because you're so mild. I don't know. I haven't done research on that, but I know for us, harvest it, call it a day.
What?
And go ahead.
No, I'm just going to ask Steve there. Steve, what about you? Are you tempted to dabble in the ginger?
Yeah, I've just recently, I can't remember where, I've just recently seen something somewhere, and I saw the roots that Audrey was just talking about there, and how the little stub grows out of the ginger roots. So I've been kind of interested in it, but I don't know if I'm warm enough here. But if I can't grow it in my polytunnels, then there'd be something wrong, really. I might have to give it a go.
So I'm just looking for some questions then. I'll tell you what, Audrey, we have still got another couple of pictures. Let's have a look. So this one, and you were telling me about it, this is, you collect, it's saffron crocus, is that right?
Right. These are saffron crocus, and they don't come up in the spring like other crocuses. They come up just before winter, and the stamen is actual saffron. So
Right.
that was just, I think they're beautiful because at that point in the year,
They
like
are.
November, the garden it's done. At least mine is. And then these beautiful crocuses come up, and you get 2-3 stamen out of each one. Now, granted, I will not be selling saffron based on this because now you know why saffron is so expensive. But it was kind of fun and it's pretty.
We've
It's
got,
more expensive than gold.
yes. yeah.
Exactly. And so I now have I think I probably have about 60 crocus, and they will continue to double just like everything that's a bulb. So hopefully in a few years, I'll be getting a nice little saffron harvest.
Oh,
At least
just
not
caught
for us
Steve
to-
having a nice cup of tea, Steve. You've just been on full camera having a nice swig it. Well, I hope it's tea. I don't want to just need vodka.
It's Scotch.
Yeah, I'm kicking over ornaments here. Audrey, this was your last one, but we know it's kind of cabbages, Steve, but around the edge, what Audrey said, she's used this. What is it, Audrey? Because if it's hard to make out, there's like it's some sort of netting around to keep everything off the brassicas, but it's special.
Well, it's not really special. That's the point. I know you guys have netting, scaffold netting. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yes.
This is actually tulle that I buy off of eBay for like $10 a bolt. It's 54 inches, 40 yards long. It's black tulle, and this keeps any brassica really happy. Cheap, cheap, cheap.
So do you have to cover everything, Audrey? Because we're getting to the point now, or well, I am in this way. I just feel like if I don't cover it, something's going to get it.
Well, I feel like brassicas have to be covered. You're just inviting everything. I do put when I grow squash, I have a lot of trouble with squirrels and bunny rabbits here. And if I don't cover my squash, I don't have any. So I just get little netting bags off of Amazon. And as soon as the little squash head starts, I put it in one of those bags. And the mice, not the mice, the squirrels and the rabbits haven't bothered at all last year. So it seemed to keep some nonsense off my fruit.
Well, if we can open it up now to the chat and we'll get some questions. So I might have missed you. Put your questions in now and I'll be able to kind of go and hunt now for them. So if you just start, please typing away. Just ask us.
Capitals.
Yes, capitals, because we're a bit short-sighted there. What I'll tell you, what a few people are saying, mind you, is this Beach Grove. That program, Steve, certainly seems to be kind of ticking the boxes for folks. You know what I mean?
It's good. The last couple of seasons haven't been as good as it was previously. There was an old fellow there, Jim, who's now retired. He's kind of riddled with arthritis, bless him. Jim McCall, I think his name was, and he was superb gardener. And he was a no-nonsense type of a man, but his gardening was brilliant. But unfortunately, he's left. But the program and the legacy lives on. It's still a good program, so better than Gardener's World.
Is it on now? Is it, Steve?
It won't be long for starting. It won't be long. It's not that far behind Gardener's World normally.
Right.
And not every program is about gardening. I mean, some programs they're dedicated to going and doing a community garden somewhere or focusing on someone's back garden and an issue they've got. But it's more stuff. As you were saying before, you wanted more stuff that would interest you. There's certainly more of that on there than.
There was a question from Nikki Kirk who was asking about magazines. Can we recommend any magazines? I know like Audrey mentioned the Gardener's World, gets that one as well. There was a couple of comments, I think Stan was mentioning that full of like upper class adverts and stuff. I don't know if that was to do with Gardener's World, but is there any magazines on your side, Audrey, that are good?
Well, there is one called Fine Gardening. But again, it touches on everything. It's not just going to be talking about vegetables. Very nicely put together, beautiful magazine. But again, like Steve had said, a lot of advertisements. Yes. I think that's kind of how they make it on maybe not so popular magazines. They just sell a lot of ads. But it's beautiful. The photography and the layouts are beautiful. But that's the only one that comes to mind.
Have you got any, Steve?
Well, I used to get one called Kitchen Garden, but I stopped getting that about 5 or 6 years ago. But that was a good magazine. There was a lot of the more well-known celebrity gardeners, if you like, in there doing features. So it wasn't like somebody that you didn't know. So that was a good one, Kitchen Garden. But I stopped buying that now. I don't have time to read magazines.
Audrey, there's a Robin Miller says Chicagoland garden centres are fabulous. I can get most of anything with a quick within a quick drive. So I don't
Well,
know.
if she's near Chicago,
Yeah.
that's probably accurate. Here in Detroit, it's just not like that. So in Chicago is much more of an active city. Let's just put
So
it
I'm
that way.
guessing you have more. The way you're saying there, it's a lot colder. Is it a lot colder quicker? Does your season finish a lot sooner for you?
When I heard you talking about still ripening tomatoes, I don't know if that was outside in December. No, we have deep frost by then. Like
I
so,
don't know who in Cockermouth can ripen tomatoes in
yeah,
December, man.
that would not happen here.
It's our locals. It's our local ski resort. It's
Once we go cold, we stay cold. So we'll get the odd day that's not, but come November, we are freezing here.
Right.
So
Steve, Jojo is asking you. She says, Steve, you said a couple of years ago that you were going to do something exciting with raised beds at the front of your plot. What was that?
Oh, I've done it. She missed it.
Oh, right.
No, I haven't done it yet. I haven't got round to it. Excuse me. Well, hopefully, I don't know if it'll be this season. I need to buy a lot of timber to do it, but it's essentially I want to cage those beds in so that we've got the protection from things like pigeons and butterflies and those sorts of pests. But it was the way I was going to utilise them, which to me was exciting. But it's pointless me telling everybody because then I'll lose 3 videos.
Yeah. Good. Mike Haberfield is saying, question for all 3. What do you use for slug control? Is chicory's just getting, what's that? Mullered.
Mullers.
I'm for slug control for me, and I'm now I think I'm the holy grail of the nematodes. You know what I mean? I'll be looking to buy it for maybe in April kind of dousing of the whole area. So I've tried other things. I've actually got this time, I think it's about 2.5 inch thick copper tape. I've seen that on Amazon when I was kind of wandering around Amazon, and I thought, and I think it was used for something else, but I thought and it's sticky as well, so I can go around the bed. So I'm going to try thicker tape around the beds as well. But
I mean, nematodes, you need warmer weather for them to work properly. But I, as you know, most people know, I do use slug pellets, but I use them very minimally because I believe they work.
You've got your little kind of experiment plan where you just put a couple down, and if they go, is that right? You put a couple more down still?
Just count them when I put them down. So on a shelf or a bench, there might only be anywhere between 2 and half a dozen. And when one disappears, I replace it. I know it's killed 1 slug. If you think about it, a slug pellet is designed to attract a slug. So if you sprinkle the carton all over the place and you've got 300 pellets on the floor, then you know that you're going to attract 300 slugs. And not all of them are going to go straight for the pellets. They're going to mull your food, as was said earlier. And that's why people then go back and they sprinkle even more down and make the problem even worse. So just only use a few. They will attract the slug and kill it. When that pellet disappears, just replace it. And then you're not killing any wildlife either, which is another bugbear people have with people who use slug pellets. You're never going to kill things with that, so...
Audrey, what's your attack method for this coming onslaught of slugs that you're going to get?
I don't really struggle with slugs. I hate to say that in this group, but I really don't. My beds are raised pretty high, and it gets so hot here in the summer that I don't think slugs really like it here. So I have done beer traps in the past. If we see that slimy line on the sidewalk, so we know they're around. But I really have not had much trouble with them.
Right.
So I'm sorry, I can't be much help.
No, that's just rather kind of frustrating and annoying. There.
I know. Well, you can be jealous of that, and I'm jealous of how long you have as a growing season. So there we go.
Audrey, Stephen Bramall is asking, do you get bothered by vine Borer at Borer. I lose my squash to them eventually.
Yeah, I have not
No.
had trouble with those yet. But I think unless I move my squash area to a different place soon, I might be getting problems. So I'm going to rotate. I'm not a big rotator of crops, but I think I will because I hear these vine borers are just horrible and they can gut a plant in no time. So yeah, I'm going to move where I grow them.
Right. I'm just having a look there. Right. One for you there, Steve. My broad beans are in flower. Is it common for them to be in flower if you sow them in November? I'm guessing
it's a
Mark's
bit
on about
early.
now they're in flower.
It's a bit early, I would have thought. I don't understand why they're in flower now because it's too cold, surely. Are they indoors?
I don't think so. I'm guessing. Well, I'm not sure, but I would have thought. When would you recommend broad beans? Because I've just bought some that actually they're getting delivered tomorrow, I think. So when would you?
Well, you can sow them now quite happily. I sowed mine back in, I think the end of September into October, somewhere around there. Mine certainly aren't flowering, and I've got them under cover as well. So I don't understand why they're flowering, unless they've got stressed or something. Maybe he's made them flower, but I don't understand. I've not heard of them flowering this early before.
Right. You could be like stressed. Adam Heath is saying he's struggling to get good germination from Bedfordshire champ onions. Any tips?
Yeah, 12 to 13 degrees centigrade sowing temperature.
Right. Audrey,
put 'em in
can you
compost.
concur with that? Do you have any trouble sowing onion seeds?
I do not. Yeah, I'm so sorry. No, I just sprinkle them and I put vermiculite over them and I stick them under my lights. I mean, I just don't. I feel like onion seeds for me are like marigolds. Like, how do you not grow one? So I
Yeah.
don't know what I could tell him.
Audrey, do you get over there? Do you get the onion sets, which is like the little?
Yeah, I think those are in our big box stores that I could drive a mile and get. I don't start those. I go with I have the last couple of years purchased onions from Dixondale Farms. It's probably the biggest onion purveyor in the United States. And so I just get bundles of their onion starts. I don't know if I will do that next year, but they have different types of onions that I like that I cannot get seed for. So that's why I do that.
Right.
But like my leeks and bunching onions and other types of onion, I start from seed.
Right.
But
Steve,
Dixondale-
I've just noticed there, Nikki Kirk saying, and I didn't realise this. Slug pellets are banned from this spring.
Are they? Maybe the older types, and surely not the organic ones.
Aye. I'm not. Rob's
I mean,
allotment saying Dad always used slug pedders on the borders next to the doors, so they went on the garden.
Right.
I'm sure Tam said about the nematodes. There's a nematodes director, a multi-pack which they send out to you when you're due to apply. So I'm not sure where I got mine from. I think it was Amazon, to be honest, but I know. Slugs on this side, Audrey, are a kind of slugs and snails are a kind of right nuisance. So if you haven't got that kind of, pest,
Well, yeah, you get so much more rain than we do. And I think means slugs love that.
Yeah.
They want damp, dark places. And there's not a whole lot of damp around here in the summer.
let me just say, Steve, do you know if nematodes work in clay soil or does it have to be a well-worked soil?
No, they should work. They should be fine. I'm actually going to give it a go again this year, breeding my own nematodes. I think I said this on another video or on the last live stream here. But yeah, I'm going to give them a go breeding my own this year again.
Well, it's funny. Someone sent me an email and there was like a recipe for like nematodes, and I wasn't picking it up exactly, but I think the more nematodes you collect and then you put into, you keep them alive. I think I'll put them into water or something, and they give off this. I don't know what it is, but you've got to keep them alive. Is this the same thing you're thinking about, Steve, where you collect up slugs?
Yeah, it's an old allotment trick. I mean, many allotment plot holders will have done this anyway. You just get a bucket, a few inches of water in the bottom, big handfuls of slugs, and then some weeds or some lettuce to feed them, and then put a paving slab on top of them so that they can't escape. And after a couple of weeks, you'll find that the slugs have all died because of the nematodes. This is the key thing, is that nematodes actually live in a slug's stomach anyway. They're actually natural in a slug's stomach. So eventually they breed and they kill the slugs, and then you just water them down and water your garden. Job done.
It's a certain type people are saying here about, Stephen Myers is saying, Tony, it has been announced that the outdoor use of method, how could I even pronounce that, is to be banned in Great Britain from March. So that must be obviously like the nasty thing in a certain, not organic, slug deterrent. So
yeah, I've got the organic ones. I've been using those for 2 years now. I've got ferrous sulfate. I'm a little bit divided. I'm not entirely sure it works because I've had a couple of batches of sweet peas that have been eaten by slugs whilst I've been using these pellets. So I'm still, the jury's out on them a little bit at the moment.
Well, like I say, like I mentioned, the nematode thing is it. You put it on, and for me, I kind of put it on, and I was looking and I was thinking it's not working, it's not, and then, but it's only like say 3 or 4 weeks later, you think, hey, I can't really see any slugs, you know what I mean? And they do just go. You know, if you got the right soil conditions, they do just go. So I was really impressed, to be honest, with the nematodes one. You know what I mean? Like I say, I'll look what Tal's saying. I'll see if I can find a link and post it about where to get them, because Amazon seems to run out. I don't know if you know that kind of, Steve, or like as soon as you try and get them, you know, there's obviously got like a certain quantity, and you've got to use them within a certain time frame.
That's right.
And
you've got to keep them in the fridge.
Yeah. Steve, there's a question here for you, and I'll ask Audrey as well. A question Steve's already answered for him, but maybe other growers had the same problem. How do you get good germination for parsley?
Sorry, excuse me. You want to use hot water from the kettle. Boil the kettle and let it sit for 10 minutes to cool down slightly, and water your compost with directly from that kettle. Then sow your seed on there, and that will help.
Right. Audrey, have you got anything for parsley? Is that something you kind of grew?
No, I'm gonna steal that idea from Steve. I've never done that. I usually wet my potting mix or my seed starting mix with boiling water just to get it going. But the idea of adding hot right before I plant it, I'm going to try that. Well, because I do grow a lot of parsley every year. I grow a lot of parsley.
Yeah, me too.
That will help. Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Well, it's funny because I mentioned this to Steve the other day there, because it was my mum mentioned as well about doing the hot water in for like a few different varieties. Now, I haven't done it. I hadn't heard of it before, but then Steve mentioned it with parsley. So you've not heard of it for anything else, Steve, is that right?
I haven't, no. Just for the parsley.
I am sure. My mum, I might, you know, a few years ago I might have gotten it wrong, but I'm sure she was saying, you know, like for parsnips and anything like carrots, just run hot water on the soil first in your little thorough, that's the word, and then sprinkle in and you're away.
I don't see why it wouldn't work, especially if your soil's cold and you warm it up and put seed in, because it'll germinate really quickly. I mean, I've been sowing some flowers. I've just put a flower video up today, and I sowed some stocks, their flowers the other day, and they're up so quickly because the soil's warm. But once they've got that warmth and they've germinated, it can take them away from that warmth. They don't need that warmth all the time. So it would be the same when you're sowing carrots. You could warm the drill up with some hot water, sow your carrot seeds. Eventually, it'll cool down in a few hours, but it might be just the trigger it needs just to get them going.
Steve, Home Allotment Veggie Beds is asking about, like the homemade nematodes. How long does it take to get the nematodes from the slugs?
It can vary, and that's the thing I'm still practicing with and looking and trying to observe, so that I could then do a proper guide on video. But essentially, what you do is you're waiting for all the slugs in there to die. Then you know that they've taken effect and they're there, and then you dilute the water and water it on.
Fletchy Babe is asking for all over there. You can't get chervil and oregano grown from seed. Any tips?
Oh,
Chervil.
yeah.
Any tips, Audrey? Have you got any?
I grow both of those every year, and I have not had trouble. Now I start them indoors. I don't start them outside. I don't know how this person is starting them. I start them just in little cell trays. Keep them damp with put a little propagator lid on top. I have and particularly oregano. Oregano almost grows like a weed for me. So I wish I had.
She's not coming back on, Steve. We're not getting her back on. It's not everything she touched grows.
I haven't had trouble with. So sorry.
Right, any more questions? Put the questions in there. We've got about 15 minutes left, so get your questions in. Make them capitals, that'll be nice. Question for you both of you is from me. Audrey, I'll start with you then. Do you, and I've just bought it today, because I know Steve does, do you sieve your compost after you've bought your compost? So you buy a bag of compost. Do you? Because I would never do it. And I've seen Steve sieving away, swears by it. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna do it. Do you sieve your compost?
Okay. Over here, compost has a lot of different names than for you. At least that's what I've noticed. I don't buy like a general purpose potting soil for my seed starts. I buy blocks of, and I think now it's a lot of coconut coir that's in there that you add water to and they blow up and they become like 8 quarts worth. And there is not one stick or there's nothing in there except completely organic, no dirt, there's no nutrition. If I were using a potting mix, absolutely I would do that for seeds. I would definitely what is that word where you shake it? Strain it. I would strain it, sieve it, yeah. I would do that because seeds don't like big huge chunks of anything near them.
Steve,
but I
come on and let's hear your side of it then. Why should you sieve?
Well, there's a couple of reasons from my point of view. The first one is because my granddad told me to do it, and granddads know everything. Now, as you know, he was a head gardener at Liverpool Parks and Gardens. I've said it many times. That's my claim to fame. But he taught me how to do it, and he explained along the way the different reasons. If you're sowing a flat or a little tray of seedlings and you need to prick them out, if the compost is sieved, it means you can get the seedling out of that so much easier. The roots aren't wrapping around bits of stone or bits of twig because you've sieved them out. So it makes the transplanting easier. It also means that when you've got the sieved soil or compost, the particles are finer, so they surround your seed better. Therefore, the seed gets more evenly coated in water, splits and germinates, so you get better germination as well. So there's so many reasons. But I just do it out of habit now because that's what I've always done. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't take any time at all.
Oh, no. To be honest, it didn't take any time. And it was almost like I got to the stage, well, like, I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? It got that. Well, I know it's right, but I'm not going to do it. I don't care what. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to, like, this start of the season there. So I've seen what Audrey sent over, the black strawberries and tomatoes, and the Brad's Atomic have been put away in there. I've got a video coming of like setting up my propagators and that. So I did sieve this year. What I did notice, and I don't know if Audrey if as well, I got my timing wrong. So I filled up me seed trays with the compost. I brought them down here to do it, and then the seed the compost has been in the seed trays, in the little pots, for about a week. Now, I tried to water it, Steve. Have you come across this? And it just looked like it had totally dried out. And the water just would not absorb into that compost. You know, no matter how much I was like getting my finger and stirring around. And in the end, it was a fair good bit of, you know, it was that clover compost. I threw it out. To be honest, I just couldn't get it. I couldn't get it wet. Have you come across that before?
Yeah, it happens. I mean, I had some in the greenhouse yesterday. You just have to be patient and spray the compost with water along the top, let it sink in, and then come back and do it again, and then fluff it up, and then re-sieve it, and you'll find it will go in. If you've got it in a pot, just soak it in a tray of water. Just leave it in a tray of water.
But
come back later.
Yeah, that's the key there. But just put it in a tray of water.
You mentioned the word though. You mentioned the word, Steve, patience. And just fuck it. Okay, you know what I mean? Get out. And actually, I've went and used, which I hopefully for a video there. I've gotten I'm trying like this fancy compost, which is clover. I've got that, but I've also got the 3 bags of Asda Special. It's went from £10 to £12 now for 3 bags. So I did it in the Asda just to see if it would come away in that. Right, Henry Sloan saying, third time a charm, yeah. Strawberries, when do you expect them appearing?
Well, you can get them starting in sort of May time. It depends if you've got an early or a mid-season or a late variety, because there are those different ones there. But I've seen strawberry flowers as early as, well, early May, really. You just got to guard against that time of year of frost. So one's predicted just cover the whole crop with fleece.
I'm presuming, Audrey,
I'm
presuming, Audrey, you don't have a problem with strawberries neither.
Okay. This has taken a bad turn somehow. I'm actually ordering new strawberries this year because my group from last year did not do well. Does that make you happy?
Well, there we go. Hey! We're fighting back.
They did not do well, so I'm ordering a whole new batch, and they'll be here, you know, as soon as they can ship them.
How long will you keep the? Oh, is that my daughter? My daughter's flying back from Tenerife. I think she wants a lift from the airport. How long do you keep your strawberry plants, Audrey? The same one, because I was always told off my mum 3 years.
Yeah, that's 3 years, and then you either order a new batch or you take some of the little runners and start them.
Yeah.
And that's what I'll do in 2 years. I'll just start them from, if these work. And I do an ever bearing like all season. I don't do early, late, mid. I just do them because, you know, we have a few grandchildren that might visit, and we have some neighbors with little ones. And I just love if the little ones come over, they can just pick a strawberry.
But is that not, like you say, if you just, because I'm lucky enough and I didn't realize it, I bought this batch of strawberries and there was 4 different varieties and they grew at 4 different times. So I was getting fruit from May to October.
Beautiful.
Is that not something better that you would prefer?
I just like the ever-bearing because I don't want to have to make jam. I don't want to have to figure out how to preserve them. You know, we'll just eat them. We'll throw them in salads. We'll make a fruit salad. We'll do whatever, and they're done.
Steve, what about you with strawberries?
Do I what? I'm sorry.
Yes, Steve, what about you with strawberries?
Oh. I haven't got any in. I haven't had any for a couple of years. The problem with strawberries for me is they don't get off the plot.
You're laughing, but it's quite a thing. You know what I mean? Like you pick them and you're thinking, do you know what I mean? That looks such a nice bloody one. I'll just and it's gone. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's a weird.
Well, aren't gardeners' treats like important, right? If it doesn't make it in the house, oh well, it didn't grow. That's fine.
Yes.
Stephen Brown's asking for everyone, what's the best thing you have successfully grown and the worst? Thanks. Well, I'll get it now. We'll get into Audrey and Steve. Brad's Atomic Grape has been tremendous for me. I just thought them tomatoes, I keep on harping on about them, you know what I mean? But They're just lovely, a lovely taste as well. I'm interested in try these black strawberry ones. And the worst thing is, whatever I've been hoping to grow, fails. And I get a lot. I find a lot of my
Rubbish.
things when I start in, like, say, June, July, hoping to get this kind of early, this dark time when there's no food on it. I wanted to get, like, say, cauliflowers, and I had 12 lovely plants at the beginning of the year, and I got 3 or 4 tiny little cauliflowers, and I was like, ah. So it's whatever is not working for us, and there's a long list. Radishes, you know what I mean? We can go from the very easy to the very hard. It doesn't matter. It's just whatever you put your heart and soul in, and it fails. You know what I mean? What was that, Steve?
I say celeriac, shallots,
God, aye.
carrots.
Celeriac, bloody, the list is on. You know what I mean? Like banana shallots. The list is. What for you then, Steve? What's your best and your worst?
Well, I think probably my favourite thing to grow, one of my favourites, is the butternut squash. Because that's something you can get. You can just harvest it and leave it in the house or in the greenhouse, and that lasts all winter long, and that's beautiful. And the worst, I don't know, to be honest. That's a difficult one. I don't think I have an answer for that, to be honest, for the worst, because if I don't like it, I don't grow it. So I like everything that I grow. I don't grow anything just for show or just because it's there. I only grow the stuff that I know we're going to eat and we're going to enjoy. I don't think there is a worst for me.
Audrey, what about you?
I would say peppers are probably, I can't kill a pepper plant. I don't know. Even if I try, I can't. Those have done so well for me the last, I would say, 3 or 4 years. Tomatoes are another one that just do really well for me. The worst might be, I hate to say this, might also be celeriac. I have a very hard time getting that to head properly. So this year, I'm planting a lot of them, and I'm going to darn well get some celeriac.
Well, Audrey, it's like, kind of strange. It's like it's a nightmare for me. So I'm going to put Steve on the spot there now. Steve, am I right? Can I sow it now?
Yes.
What temperature does it need for germination? What special tricks do I need for do I need to kind of put wood on it to hide the lights or anything like that, or kind of say 2 prayers and run around naked afterwards, or what?
Right, you've got to wear your beret, your French beret, and your pink wellies.
Right.
Don't just sow them on the surface of some soil, compost. Keep them moist. This is where most seeds fail, is because they dry out. And as you're sowing it on the surface, put a propagator lid over it just to keep the humidity in there. And that will keep the moisture all around the seed and help it along. They are slow growing and they are fine little hairs for quite some time, but eventually they'll start to grow away. And when you've got those first true leaves, not the seed leaves, then you can, if you've sieved compost, if you've sown them into sieved compost, you can easily take them out, shake the soil off and pot them on. And they'll be this big in the autumn.
When have you sown yours then?
I haven't yet.
Right. Oh, so there's
mine are sown.
Right. Well,
I sowed mine already because I really want these to be nice plants when they go out in the garden. Because I want to give them.
Well, see, Audrey, mine went nice plants. Mine were lovely plants. I bought them one set from the garden centre. You couldn't get nice; they were beautiful. But then they just stayed, and it was no matter how much.
Well, don't you think you ripped? I'm just going to ask you this. Don't you think you ripped them out a little bit early? Because you could have had another month or 2, I think, of growing based on your climate.
I can't remember when I thought it was long enough, to be honest.
I've still got one growing in the polytunnel now.
Right.
Yeah, it's like you pull it when it's ready, not when you think it's ready. Now, I know Daisy liked to lay on that.
Oh, yes.
So I don't know if that had anything to do with it. But I remember when you were pulling them out, I thought, I wonder if he just left those.
They were just like that. I'm going to go smaller. They were like that. Even in a month, they weren't going to, they'd had about 12 months.
I know, but they might have, right? Isn't it, they bulb at the end, don't they? They don't bulb at the beginning. So maybe they would have.
Some people are just so lucky with them, and their ground is just right and just perfect that they grow away fine. Now, what happens with the celeriac? Celeriac is basically a big scar. I've said this before. And when the leaves grow upwards and away from the bulb underneath, as it swells because the feed is in the rich ground underneath, as that bulb sort of swells, you're ripping off the green leaves and pulling them down and leaving a scar. That scar hasn't yet hardened for a few days, but if it's growing vigorously, if it's got the feed in the ground, that scar will swell a little, and every time you pull a leaf off, it will swell a little bit more from that new area, and that's how it grows. So it needs rich ground, it needs to stay moist, and you need to get that right with the pulling down of the leaves. So the leaves grow up. As they start to bend over, that's the time to pull them off.
That's it. Audrey, me and you are having this year
Monster celeriac, yes.
Well, listen, I think how long we've been there? 1 hour and 1 minute. So I think we're kind of
we're over.
Yes, we're a minute over. So a big thank you to everyone that's come in the chat and watched. Big thank you. We will be here. Hopefully, we'll try and work it out for next Monday. There won't be a live show tomorrow because I'm at the day job. I've got to go into work still. So there'll be no live show tomorrow. So hopefully next Monday we'll have either Steve or Audrey. Hopefully we'll have me as well. So thank you, everyone. Big thank you to Steve. Steve, thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, everybody.
Always a pleasure. Never a chore.
Nice to speak to you, Audrey.
Yes,
speak to you
Audrey, thank you so much.
Nice to speak to you too.
Right,
yes,
everyone in the chat, thank you so much. Doodle pip there.
Cheers, everyone.
Take care.